Today we're going to be hearing from David Cantu, Chief Revenue Officer and co-founder of HotSchedules, along with Mary Kay Hyde, the VP of Marketing. And they're going to be speaking to us about why customer success and marketing should swipe right for each other. Please welcome David and Mary Kay.
Thank you. So as stated, David Cantu, co-founder of HotSchedules, and obviously
Mary Kay Hyde, yeah, in case you were confused about who was who. And in case you didn't know, swiping right, I mean, if you're not familiar with Tinder, that's the good side. I had to look it up.
So want to just start back a little history of the company. So I co-founded HotSchedules back in 1999 in running a restaurant with Ray Polakowski. So we had a bright idea of really taking an Excel spreadsheet and placing it on a website of the employee schedules. How many of you have worked your way through college by waiting tables or running restaurants? It's usually about 30 to 40%. It's a gateway industry that a lot of people go through. And as a matter of fact, for customer success, for us, it's really finding out those that have the hospitality gene, you know, the ability to really serve and want to serve. And really our goal and our intent was really figuring out the pain point between staff and management in a dynamic schedule. Staff always wanted to know what time they worked. They were constantly calling up to the restaurant, finding out what time they worked. And managers always had to interrupt those phone calls and give the staff their schedule. So when we placed it on the website, it was an instant success for us. No more phone calls to the restaurant. The staff was satisfied. Every time they went to the website, their schedule was there, it was posted. And we realized that there was a big pain point there, so we decided to build this at the worst time possible, the dot-com implosion in Austin in 1999. So we bootstrapped the company with friends and family money, and we did this for about 5 years while continuing to run restaurants. And we were really trying to solve the pain point from the end user, not really the buyer. It was really about the staff and the managers, and it was a long journey. Fast forward to 2011, still growing, profitable, but it was time for us to go above and beyond scheduling and labor management. Our customer advisory boards, our user conferences were telling us that they wanted more than just schedule and labor management. So we decided to take investment for the first time and really scale the business. And our focus went from just simply schedule and labor management to inventory management, BI, recruitment, but it was only focused on one vertical. So our goal was to serve the restaurant industry. 1 million restaurants today, 14 million employed in the US, about 10 million restaurants globally. And there had yet to be a company that could grow software as a service specific to the restaurant industry. So that's been our focus. The mobile devices really changed the way that we worked and interacted with our customers. In 2010, we built the first application. Number one most downloaded business app on iTunes today, and it's the way that employees interact with their managers. They want things real time based on when their schedules are posted, request off shift trades and such. Our focus has never changed on the end user. From day one in 1999 when we started serving the customer, we always had a phone line available for them, both available in English and Spanish. So it's something unique, it's a competitive advantage. So for those that don't have smart devices, they can still call up to our call center. We take those phone calls, about 500 calls a day from staff and managers. About 75% of those calls are really training, our lack of understanding on how the product works, so we're still serving in that manner. We take about 3,500 calls a day through an automated IVR for those that want to just use the IVR as opposed to speaking to a live person. So it's unique. We're really integrated into the customers and their feedback. My role as Chief Revenue Officer is also unique. As we started to expand, I had to pick a role as Chief Customer Officer. For about 1.5 years, I was focused strictly on customer success. And at that time, I realized that there was a lot of friction between customer success, sales, and marketing. These departments were working in silos. They were working in silos, and they were trying to achieve their objectives, but it wasn't really, obviously, it wasn't working out between the departments. So I transitioned my role, and now I get the benefit to work with the 3 teams to ensure that we're providing the experiences that we would expect out of our customers, and the revenue follows from there. And that's something that's unique. So just by a show of hands, how many of you have a Chief Revenue Officer that is in charge of all teams? There's about 15 companies here. It's just a benefit because, again, as stated, and for those of you that run customer success, a lot of times if there's not that alignment between sales, marketing, customer success, everyone's still trying to serve the customer, but you start to have different initiatives that are counterproductive. And Mary Kay and I have experienced this, and she's going to share a little bit how marketing and customer success interact to bring the customer stories to light that obviously benefit ourselves and essentially generate our revenue.
Right, so I mean, I can't say enough about how important it is for marketing and customer success to be really closely aligned, and that's why I kind of want to talk about two types of content. Obviously, there's a lot of different types of content, but I'm going to break them down into two basic categories for the purposes of this discussion. And just to keep it light, it's why marketing should be sucking up to customer success and why customer success should be sucking up to marketing. The reality is that if marketing's producing crappy content that customers don't like, guess what? It makes your brand look bad. It makes the relationship with customer success a lot more difficult for you guys. So I think what's really important is for marketing really to be listening to what customers want and getting that feedback from customer success. They need to be providing content that provides value, thought leadership content. If they're constantly hitting them with a sales message, they aren't going to be interested. They aren't going to want to stick around and listen. The other really critical piece is over and under communicating. So if you haven't segmented your data as a marketing person, if you're working with a team that hasn't done a good job of segmenting that data, give them a hand and help them understand why they're missing the boat. Because if you look at just the restaurant industry, in addition to being size differences in how many locations a particular company owns, whether they're a huge enterprise like Brinker International or just a local guy, how you talk to them should be different. And the value that you provide to them is really different. And if you are not providing value, you're sending the wrong messages to different customers, or you're sending HR messages to IT people, they're not going to listen. If you're providing really great, valuable content that's not about sales necessarily, that might be about industry thought leadership, best practices for how to use your product, they're going to want to hear it from you a lot more often. We've gotten to the point now where we're communicating with our customer base at least once a week, and we don't get any unsubscribes. We're getting clean data all the way back. It's just not happening. Another really great example is, the restaurant industry really struggles with the war for talent. It's really hard to hire and retain people in this industry, and we put out a War for Talent webinar where we didn't talk at all about our products. And amazingly, 530 people signed up and registered for it, and what that did was just bring us really great brand goodwill, and it's the kind of thing, again, that helps customer success build those relationships and put your company out there as a leader and a thought leader as opposed to just somebody who's spamming you with sales messages.
I could say that just through the experience as well of the scaling and then offering multiple products, a lot of this needs to be done up front from the sales team. So really to enforce the type of data that you want to capture up front as you really think about your future years of who you want to be connected with within these organizations and how you send the right content information, because as we thought about thought leadership and really developing competencies, we realized the restaurant industry is one of the few industries you can work your way up without an education. A lot of people try to go through the restaurant industry to work their way as they're getting their education, but some of them love it so much they stay there. And that we realized they didn't have the resources to build on competency of labor management, food management, retention. So we thought if we provide that type of content to where they came to us regularly to learn something new, that they would start interacting with our brand and they would trust us to want to find out what products we utilize. And we just wanted to have that lasting impression for them. So I can say when we started to do this, started to evolve based on some of the acquisitions and our growth, we had to go back and just revamp all of that, and to get salespeople as well as customer success to go back and update this. It's a Herculean effort that takes away from other initiatives. So as you're really thinking about the future of your business, think about the decision makers, the influencers within an organization, and how to capture that up front, and why that's important to go forward from sales to implementation and training and customer success, and obviously through the journey of the customer.
So obviously, I'm sure all of your brands have social media presence, but how many of you guys have, a great confidence that your marketing team is responding to every single message that goes out there? It's a really sadly low number. So we have a really strong policy that's ingrained into our heads from a company called BTC Revolutions, and it's no conversation left behind. That means even if someone's angry and ranting, we make sure that we go out there and in a way become the face of the company and customer success like, customer support like. And this is, again, I think a really important thing for customer success teams is that if your marketing team is leaving people hanging, it opens up the opportunity for dissatisfaction. Word of mouth spreads throughout a brand. If you're not answering somebody, you're not getting back to them, you're not addressing their issue or even just their comment. When you do engage with your end users, it's amazing how much they become brand fans, and it just makes your job easier. So I encourage you guys to put a little pressure on marketing and tell them that that's a big responsibility. So why marketing should be sucking up to customer success? I'm a firm believer that the best story and the only way to tell your story is through customer stories. So if marketing isn't really working closely with customer success to understand where those really happy customers are, where case studies can be developed, where videos can be developed. We were going to actually show a video. I don't think we have the Wi-Fi to do it, but it's the video piece is really important. A lot of people won't take the time to read a 3-page case study or a 4-page case study, but they will take 2 or 3 minutes to watch a video. And it's absolutely, the best way to get across, the why behind your business. It really demonstrates, obviously, why you're around. So clearly having that, relationship and understanding working with customer success so you know which of those customers are willing to do that. The other piece is, and this is kind of often an overthought piece, is you can actually, reach out to your customers who've had a great success trajectory and feature them in a blog. And again, it doesn't have to be anything about your products. It can just be about their journey, because other people who have similar experiences, if that's your ideal persona, if those are the kind of people that you want to portray, put them on your blog. You're going to get readership on that particular story, even if it has nothing to do with your products, and then suddenly they find themselves surfing around your website. So it's just great for SEO. Just a really quick word about beta. We as a company have struggled a little bit with the whole beta process. Product got really excited, and they were like, hey, it's ready, let's go sell it. And then we'd throw it out there, and it was like, oh, it's not ready. I don't know if any of you have had that experience, but we certainly have lived the rough end of that. And really reinforcing with product how important the beta process is and taking your time with it, because what we found is really, really effective is if you can get a few people to kick the tires and then go out with GA with a product that's got a bullpen of 10 referenceable customers, it's the best way, obviously, to go to market. The other piece is that there's a big, people feel like, oh, well, if they're going to do beta and they're going to do this favor for us and they're going to do the feedback, we should probably give them a really big, deep discount to be a reference customer. And I've found that there's a real difference between a paid endorsement and somebody who endorses or references your product because they really, really appreciate it. So I would say stay away from offering incentives, financial incentives for references.
Well, usually, when you are testing beta and you already have an existing product and you have a relationship with your customer, they're the best ones to reference, and they're going to give you the honest, genuine feedback that you want to receive. Customer success will identify who are the right customers to build stories off of to where they're seeing the success out of these new products. Because once you start to expand on that, the rest of your customers will have that story shared with them. And for us, we took a step 2 years ago to where customer success was strictly just focused on customer success, no quota. 2015, for the first time, we drove to have a quota and have them balance between the two. So we had to really focus their time on onboarding new customers. While we have an implementation and training team that does that, it's only for a certain period to where they're certified and they move forward. Customer success is responsible for about 30% of the time onboarding, 30% of the time on quarterly business reviews. And then you got to find a sliver of time. There's always support elements that they're going to have to be responding to, and some of those are beta. Right now, we have about 4 new products that we've launched over the past 6 months. So for us, there's a lot of interactions with customers and finding out those stories and bringing that feedback, being the voice of the customer, back to product to help shape that and bring it to not only the customers, but then you can release this to the rest of your sales organization. And then you can really start to expand on growth. But beta, your best opportunity is focusing on your customers to test out your beta, your most your most trusted and loyal customers as well will give you the honest feedback that you're looking for. And if it's driven by sales, they will go out and just try and find anybody that's willing to take it. And you're not necessarily getting the best feedback because you don't have a strong relationship to where you're getting true, honest information back. It may look good in a case study or such, but it's not real and true. And as soon as you start to have your sales team focus on going out and selling this new product only to find out that it can't be implemented or there's gaps or things missing, you burn a deal. Your ability to go back to them and try and do a deal with them again is highly unlikely. So, we've learned our lessons. We've made some mistakes on trying to push out beta too fast. Generally, I really think the rule of thumb is about a 6 to 9 month period, depending on the application itself, before you really could release it to your entire sales team. So first and foremost, customers are your best beta.
So just a word on whoopsies and uh-ohs. Sometimes these are, things that happen because of some fault of the company. Sometimes they're not. In our case, our biggest kind of recent uh-oh, we had a distributed denial of service attack back in May of 2015 in the middle of the National Restaurant Association show, which is the biggest show of the year. It's highly attended. Half of our company was in Chicago at it. When some attackers came and basically took our site down for 27 hours, which for us, 1 hour and social media blows up. Everyone's like, I can't get my schedule. And we really had to rally as a team. And at that point, the entire team really became customer success. We had guys in infrastructure sleeping on the floor. Marketing was on, social media. Customer success dropped everything. Some of them were at the show. But what we really learned from this after being down for 27 hours was how important it is to be proactive and reach out to your customers if you do have a problem, whether it's self-induced or not. Let them know what's going on, make sure that their teams are informed. People were making phone calls like crazy. Making sure that they understand what the risk level is. In our case, we had a really good message as far as that goes. We didn't lose any of their data, so that was at least a better message to be able to offer. But just the fact that we were being transparent, we told them what was going on, and after it was all over, because of everything that we had done for them, it actually turned into a benefit for us. They were very empathetic for us. They felt like, they could relate to the fact that we had been through this thing and we had done our very best to serve them as best as we could. And it really did, both from a PR perspective and from a customer standpoint, it really ended up working out in our favor.
Well, with customer success and marketing being coordinated, because as soon as things like this, they're unexpected. So you have to have immediate, at least a plan of action in place. And we've had blips in the past where we had plans of action in place, not to this level, but I can tell you that in any executives we work with, they don't like surprises. So as long as you're up in front of this before their managers are bringing it up the chain, you've got to reach out to your executives and inform them that you're having these issues and that you'll be giving 30-minute or hourly updates on where we stood. And this type of proactive view, in addition to social media or anything that's out there, as long as you have a consistent message, your customers are going to forgive you when times like this occur. Because it's really trying to overcompensate, over-communicate, and just be proactive with it. So for us, I think we've done a brilliant job, and we couldn't do that without marketing, because it's surprising how much gets outside of just the conversations we have with our customers, especially when you have the end users in mind as well.
So just a word about user conferences. They've really been a critical part of our growth path. Both the larger events, one of the things that's we find is that really big user conferences like this one are expensive to put on, and they might be cost prohibitive. But even if it's just a simple customer advisory board meeting where you're getting a few of your top customers together, I think one of the sessions yesterday they were talking about having competitions to get the really vocal customers to give a lot of feedback. And I think that's a great piece of advice, because anytime you can get people in there really giving you that advice, obviously it's going to help you progress as a company.
Yeah, I love getting the vocal customer with product. I mean, because they're going to give feedback, and product has to take and certain things, but you want to have highly vocal customers that are passionate about you serving them in a manner that they're going to get the benefit out of it. So I mean, I always encourage it. For user conferences specifically, we've been doing this for about 9 years now, as well as customer advisory boards. And for this, while our first attendance was about 15 customers, They've grown to over 100, and we try and limit that because we don't want it to expand outside of the 100 to where we have really valuable content and communication interaction. That's important for us to really truly get that feedback, not only for the direction of our service, but even on our products. They really let us know, where we're succeeding, where we're not. We go through SWOT analysis every year with them to where they're sharing that valuable feedback. And to have product in the room listening to what the customer is saying is also invaluable, because a lot of the times they hear the complaints of what's not working. So for them to receive the praise, face to face with customers on the things that it really helps them. I kind of liken it to the restaurant. The chefs and the people in the kitchen are the ones that are really, creating the art of serving this beautiful, wonderful dish that gets people to come back. They're not there to see the praise or get the praise that the customer-facing representatives are. So, I really think that these are a valuable time for your product to really, obviously, get involved with the customer and get their feedback. Customer advisory boards are also invaluable. But in marketing helps drive the adoption of the conferences if they have the right marketing message on why it's important for them to attend and the value that they're getting out of that. So it's a need. For those of you that have done it, you naturally know the benefit you get out of that. Sometimes it doesn't appear to be that you're going to get any type of revenue generation from the get-go, but what you're doing is you're starting to establish an emotional, personal connection with your customers. And when they're willing to fly from all over the country or even over the world to come see you and get value out of not just your content, but it's the networking that they really enjoy and appreciate, that's when you really start to create a brand that has a lasting impression with someone. And the importance for all of us is focusing on a customer for life. And if you get to the point where they want to buy more again and again, then you've succeeded in your role.
So I won't go over these because we're out of time. This is basically just a summary of what we just covered and kind of the key takeaways.